PRS for music. PRS for music. We're going live for a little rant about today's news and what it means for the industry.
You call that radio? You call that radio TV? No. You call that radio TV?
This is You Call That Radio.
This is You Call That Radio TV. And today was supposed to be my day off. Well, we've got a live gig from Texture tonight at 7. If I can afford the PRS money, then we'll be live at 7. I just get so upset by PRS, you know. Sorry if anything I say is blinded by sheer rage. I see all yous raging at things that I find really inconsequential all the time, you know what I mean? Piers Morgan goes on the telly every morning and talks about, I don't know, genderless toilets or whatever. And people get really upset about stuff. And I just, you know, I try not get too angry about things I read in the news. I try not to do any of that. I used to go through a lot of stress, intense stress, years ago. And what fixed my stress was a few things like go walks, drink water, less booze, go for a cycle, repeat, no more rage, no more rage, no more rage, and breathe. But the most important rule for me, for my health, was pretend PRS just don't exist. They owe me a lot of money. They made an error years ago. And every time I try and complain, I email, I phone in, phone call tells you to email, email tells you to phone in, and then they tell you to do a thing that you've already done without promising you that they are going to resolve it. They just say they might resolve it if you do the thing. Anyway, that's been going on for years. I've just given up on ever getting paid by PRS. I just gave up. It's just better for me if I just pretend PRS doesn't exist. But today's news, they're back. They're back in my life. Wanting money from me. They're back. It's been about a year since I could put on a gig. No government support, no loans, no funding, no sponsorship. We don't do adverts in the show. There's nothing. PRS does offer funding, but only if you've earned enough money in the threshold to receive funding. And guess what? I have earned that, but I've not been paid it. So they go by based on if you've been paid enough. You need to have reached a certain threshold. It's not a lot. It's about £200 or something like that. Or £100. If you've earned £100 in PRS royalties over the last year or two, I'm not sure of the specifics, then you can apply for funding. But because PRS have chosen or ignored my pleas to just please pay the money, I don't qualify for funding from PRS. So I don't ask them for anything, even the money that they owe me. I pretend they don't exist. But today the news is that I'm going to be expected to pay for a licensing fee in order to live stream gigs. Now, I've got some friends out there who are big supporters of PRS. They've had wonderful experiences from PRS. They get the royalties on time. They get funding for their album projects and stuff like that. And that's great. And if anyone ever asks me for advice, should I sign up to PRS? I always say, yes, you should. Because the majority of people do get funding and their royalties on time. But there's other people that have slipped through the cracks. There's people who are they either don't know what they're worth, or if they're owed any money, they don't know how to fill out forms, or they've had a mistake happen to them. The mistake with me was their website crashed and ruined it lost all my information. And I think it happened to quite a few people. Some people managed to get it back on track. I haven't been able to get it back on track. Now, to me, it just looks like a shakedown. They want £25. So if your gig makes £0, then you have to pay £25 plus VAT, all the way up to £500. Now, as you know, about 90% of all live gigs this year have been bands putting on their own live stream gigs. So PRS is saying this is for the artist. So I'm open to clarification, but it's the way I understand it, that means you are going to put on a gig. I'm maybe just blinded by rage here, so correct me if I'm wrong. It's if someone gave me free money, I'd stick up for them as well. But it seems to me that we have bored people on salaries who are so far away from the underground. You know, they're collecting royalty checks for Slade at Christmas time. They're so far away from what we actually do here in the underground. And maybe they've been furloughed, and because they've not really got anything to do, maybe there's a higher up saying, you need to do something. We've got to be seen to be doing something. So let's just go and attack people who are putting on live stream gigs. The industry's on its knees. And some of us are still jogging on our knees through the shitstorm. And then we're just getting kicked in the face. You expect to get kicked in the face by the Tories, but not kicked in the face by the guys who claim that they're doing this to help you. So let's just work that out. So for example, if you're a band and you put on your own live stream gig and you ticket it, say you make £30 in ticket sales, you need to pay PRS £25 plus VAT so that they can pay themselves to give you money back. So you get your money back minus their admin fees and all the tax and all the other stuff that's deducted as well. I can't see how this benefits anyone at all here. Tell me, please. Please tell me in the comments, am I getting this wrong? How's this beneficial for an industry? It's fucked. The live streaming, there is no money in this. Every time we put in a live stream gig, I lose a lot of money. It's not cheap. You need to pay for sound engineers, lighting, venue hire. There is no money in live streaming at the moment. Not at my level. Not at most of the people I know's level. Now, we've been weighing up. Should we maybe be charging £10 a ticket? But we said, no, let's not put a paywall on this shit. Let's just keep the music free so everyone can enjoy it. And as a thank you to the patrons who support this show and who support me. I know some people support the Patreon because they enjoy You Call That Radio TV. And other people just probably pay a couple of pounds a month just so that they don't see me starve. Because maybe they want to see me make a new album. Or maybe they just don't want to see people starve. I'm used to getting fuck all. I'm used to, no sponsorship, no funding. I don't do adverts. There is no government help. I've survived this year by putting on an almost daily TV show and relying on the kindness of people who support the Patreon. So I'm not asking PRS for anything. I just would like them not to come in and try and extract more money from the situation. Do you know what I mean? More money before you've even kicked the ball. It's a joke, man. And my New Year's resolution is to fill out forms, because I realise that the only way to survive right now is to fill out forms. And I know that there is money out there, but that's just for some people, it's not easy to fill out forms. Do you know what I mean? For me, it gives me the fear as soon as I see a form. But last night, I did fill out a form for the first time in a long time. So hopefully that works out for me. Or maybe this rant will go against me. I don't know how it all works. I really don't know, but I'm just telling the truth here. The truth is I see it. What is the station? What is the number of... Yeah, so up to 500 quid you pay a £25 licence, and then it goes up again to £22.50 you pay if your gig makes less, plus VAT, if your gig makes less than £250. Now, for the majority of people in the underground, making £250 on a gig would be great. It's unlikely though, especially if you've got to pay a camera guy and stuff like that as well. If you're hiring in lights, if you're doing it at a venue, or you're doing it from your home, do you already have the camera equipment? Then great. You know, if you make between £251 and £500, you have to pay PRS £45. If you make more than £500, then you have to contact us for more info, because there's different rules for different people in the pecking order. So will they get charged more? Will they get charged less? We don't know. Probably they'll probably cut a deal of some sort. I don't know how it works. Sorry. Like I said, I might just be blinded by rage. Here. You know, it's. I'll just read the comments. Well, just before I read the comments. Now, the thing with PRS is, like I said, they do lots of good stuff as well. But I've also seen them really damage small venues and small local radio stations as well. You'd be absolutely shocked at the amount of money they charge a local radio station to broadcast in FM. And that majority of that money never ever finds its way back into the economic stream of the smaller artists, because there's bands who don't register for PRS. There's bands that don't even know that PRS exists, to be honest. And then there's bands who don't like filling out forms, so they maybe registered once, but they just don't see the hassle in filling out the forms because they don't know what they're entitled to, or maybe they just think it's going to be shite anyway. So that means there's this big unclaimed pot of money that sits there. PRS make a fortune every year, and they're holding a big, massive amount of unclaimed royalties from artists who can't be bothered, don't know it exists, or have died. You know what I mean? Where does that money go? Oh, maybe you can just say, I mean, does anyone, is it, do you know any artists that are leaving wills, so I'll give my PRS to such and such? I'm happy to pay the streaming license, by the way. PRS, if you are watching, I'm happy to pay my license for any live gigs I do. If you pay me the money you owe me, just pay me to fuck off. You know, I used to pay to play, and then I started getting paid to play, and now I don't get paid at all. I would like to get paid to fuck off. So, help me. And then give me funding for a new album, then maybe I'll change my ways and start sticking up for you. But this is a joke. I can't see any benefit at all. My face is going blurry with the rage. We've got some comments coming in. We'll do the questions. Let's do the questions. Has anyone got any questions for me? And I'll answer them quickly. I will answer the questions and read the comments out after this short interval.
Yeah, no respecting it, I respect the man like Mark. They love what the man talk on the radio. In case you never know. You call that radio, call that the radio. You call that radio, call that the radio. Come and say, in the my name, I'll just go with the flow. In the my name, I'll just go with the flow. Till you miss a mark, now go bend down low. Till you miss a mark, now go bend down low. Boom. Lot of mercy. Show. You call that radio. You call that radio. Come and say, don't you be another man, I'll go lose your head. Say, don't you be another man, say, I'll lose the head. I say, radio, call that a radio, straight from outer Glasgow, straight from outer Glasgow, nicing up on the studio. Come and say, in my name, I'll just go with the flow. In my name, I'll just go with the flow. So till you miss a mark, now go bend down low. Till you miss a mark, now go bend down low. No radio, you call that the radio.
Oh, fuck.
If you don't really know what's going on, there's a show that also doesn't know what's going on. Call
No more rage, no more rage, no more rage. No more rage, no more rage, no more rage. Breathe. Ah! They still exist. Okay, let's look at the comments. I hear you. That's awful. You're one of the hardest working musicians I know. So annoyed for you. I'm not. There's a lot more harder working people than me that I'm getting paid either. Control is out of control. How does that work for donations? Can they take money from that? I don't know. I know that they would like to. I don't know. I think basically it looks like on the flip side that if you stream it for free, then I don't think that they can touch you. Is my understanding from reading it back, is that if you're not ticketing the event, it looks like, for example, YouTube and Facebook, it's okay to stream your own music. Cheers, pal. So you can stream your own music, you can perform your own music on YouTube and Facebook, and you don't have to pay a license for it. But Facebook has started a thing, ticketed events now. So if you wanted to say, put a thing on Facebook and charge £5, £10 for a ticket, then you are going to need to pay a license for it. And as for Twitter and Twitch, they don't even mention that. So they don't have a deal with Twitter and Twitch. So I'd imagine that if I was to stream, so right now, if I was to stream this to Twitch or Twitter and play one of my own songs right now, then I think that I would need to have a license just to be on the safe side. We need to control the controller. Music for the community should be led by the community. Yeah, man, I don't know. I think there must be a better way. I don't understand the power. I don't understand the power that they have. And I mean, it's like there is loads of people who say that they're good because we need something like that in order to collect the money for your royalties. But the majority of people don't. The majority of the underground scene doesn't get paid. They're not on the radio much, you know. And if you're on, you know, if you get played on somewhere like Sunny Govan or Cam Glen FM or any of these amazing local radio stations, then the percentage you get is pennies. It's a small amount. So they're not, unless you're getting, you know, you'll find a lot of people that they get played on BBC radio, for example. They will be big fans of PRS because PRS are good at getting the money from BBC radio and paying you. So you'll find that most people that are getting played on BBC radio will be big fans of PRS and they like them. And PRS will probably like them and they'll probably fill out a form and get funding for their projects and stuff like that. So there is lots of people that enjoy PRS. I just don't really see, when you use the word community there, I don't think that it really helps the community that much because the amount of the money that they charge every year to venues and local radio stations is disgusting, to be honest. It puts a lot of stress and pressure on venues and local radio stations. And, you know, I'd be happy to just say, local venue, local radio station, you are free to use my music anytime you like. How about that? Could there be a box that we could tick where we say, sorry, the lighting's a bit shite in here today, sorry. But is there a box we could tick where it says, I want to tick a box where you don't ever bother a local venue. You know, let's say a venue of under 500 people. Don't you bother any of them. Don't bother Stereo. Don't bother them. Don't bother Nice and Sleazy's. They can play my music if they want. I'm happy to take no money for that. Go and play the music. Fine. Sunny Govan, Cam Glen FM, any local radio station, and that goes across the board, right through to America. Are you an American radio station? We get played in a California radio station. We get played in a French radio station, Radio Caribou, RKC. I don't want any money for them. I'm just delighted that they would play my tune. So rather than try and squeeze my 10 pence a mod or 20 pence a mod from per play from these companies, just do leave them alone. Let them play my music as much as they want and just stop charging thousands and thousands of pounds to these venues. And do you know what? Maybe the good thing would be, because I know that the big bands out there would not agree to that. Well, the bands probably would, but they've got management companies and record labels involved. who would say, no, we want paid for every single play we get. So what might happen is that the local venues and the local radio stations might be more inclined to just play only underground music. And do you know there's some good stuff out there? Maybe that would be good for the community, is that we just sort of branch off and don't deal with these people anymore. The local venues play underground music, worldwide underground music, or any band who wants to tick a box and saying, I'm not bothered about it. Anyway, that's just a thought. Let's see what else people are saying. Who's starting the petition? I don't even know what you would say. Wait, I've tried to phone and deal with these people. You get someone on the phone who's very nice. You know, there's lots of nice people that work for PRS. It's good people working there. People that answer the phones are always very pleasant, but they tell me that there's nothing they can do. You need to email or you need to go back to the website. And to give you an idea of, they lost so much information about me that I would have to go back and add every single gig I've ever played over the last many, many years. Have to find all that information. And I would have to find that out, and they would tell me that I might get it, I might not get it. Just need to put it through and we'll see. But it does say that you can't backdate anything more than a year. And there's obviously been no gigs in the last year, so it seems like a waste of time. Colin Syme, don't all gigs just break even and don't make anything? Well, the live stream gigs that I know of lose hundreds of pounds. So every gig that we put on a Capture Works loses money. I do it, because it's a brilliant thing to be involved in. I love live music and I love seeing everyone enjoying themselves. And it's good for my show as well, because it's good for You Call That Radio, because people know that we're not just a podcast, that we are actually about the live music. We're actually going to walk the walk and bring live music to you, even in the middle of a pandemic, in a safe way. And also we will be doing real shows when it's safe to do so. I've just checked the website, that they've grassed the music scene up section, Dirty Tactics. I didn't even know that. Ben was once at an industry event at 2 a.m. around a table with loads of different industry folk, mostly from London, and the consensus was that no one really knows how it all works. Well, that's it. It's baffling. A lot of it's baffling. But basically, for anyone who just doesn't really know how PRS works, the rough idea is that you pay money. So you pay, I don't know, I think it was 60, but 50 when I joined, but it can be anything up to £100, I think, roughly. And that should be you signed up for life. And then they collect from the radio stations, the music venues that play you, the radio stations, all that stuff. I mean, is every radio station and every music venue writing down every time your song gets played? Obviously not. So how can they accurately do that? They can't. They just kind of roughly guess a lot of it. They just guess. So, which is quite accurate when you're guessing, you know, your Rihanna's and your Beyonce's, because they're getting played a set amount of the time on mainstream radio. So you can probably work out quite accurately, but you're not going to work out the small bands. But the small bands are getting played on the small radio stations. I know BBC do fill out the form for every artist that played. So if you get played on BBC Radio, you will get it will get paid by PRS. But a lot of it is a mystery, and I don't think anyone really does know how it works. Paul, this is a cash grab. Apparently, they want to claim retrospectively for the event since lockdown started. Well, my friend has said that that's not the case. I did think that, but that was fake news. Once again, blinded by rage in that way, where you just get angry. So you just start reading things that make you more angry and repeating them. I'm trying not to do that. I don't know if that's true. I did hear that, but apparently it's not true. Ben also says it's an imperfect way of doing things, but it's a system we have. I can see from both sides of the coin how the songwriters get paid for their work without PRS. Yeah, like I said, maybe it's obviously there is no other way to do it. It's one option. You don't get to go somewhere else. I did naively think that there was, you've got Centric music. Is it Centric? I naively a few years ago went, I think we should all move to Centric instead. But apparently Centric just take the stats from PRS. So PRS still get paid. Centric just do a deal with them and then they take a cut and they offer other things. So even if you don't go through PRS directly, PRS are still getting a bit of money from it. Yeah, like I said, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you actually change it. I've no idea how you change it. What I think maybe one thing is the community box. Let's call it the community box, where you tick which basically says leave the local radio stations and the local venues alone. I want them to play my music, and I don't give a shit about making 0.5 pence every time they play me. I don't care about it. You know what I mean? It's like nobody gives a shit about everyone's happy to upload all their music to Spotify and take pennies from them. And we all hate Spotify, so we should actually love our local venues and our local radio stations. And that's not just Scotland, that's just international. I love them all. Everyone's trying to do their thing. So we all tick a community box, and then that means that that would hopefully resolve the situation with PRS taking too much money off of those guys. But yeah, I don't know how it fixes anything else. I don't know what. I'm not an expert. I'm just an angry man. I've never heard them up to now, says John on their webpage, trying to make sense of it. Ask your boy. He runs a venue. He'll tell you all about them, that it's expensive to run a venue with PRS. They're maybe running out of cash and they're basically begging now. No, Nick, they have piles and piles of cash. They make £33 million a year in income. Their CEO's on $1 million a year. And there is a big pile of, I don't know the exact stats. I mean, I know that the American equivalent has hundreds and hundreds of millions, and PRS isn't far off it. Someone can Google that maybe. How much does PRS have in unclaimed monies? Because it was on a news article a couple of years ago I read, because you've got all the artists who never ever register for PRS. You've got all the artists who are registered with PRS, but they don't claim their money. You have artists that die, bands break up. There's a million reasons why this money's unclaimed, and they overestimate it as well. And they're getting all the money for when people register to sign up to PRS. So there is money there, man. They're not running out of money. But I think they're maybe just a bit concerned that their income this year is a lot less than it was last year, because there's no gigs. There's literally no gigs. And I would imagine that the workplaces, I mean, that's another thing. If you own a mechanics and you want to play Radio 1 through you can play it to your workers privately. But if you want to play Radio 1 in your shop front or FM radio in your shop front, then you've got to pay a PRS license as well. So they're getting money from a lot of different places. They're good at getting money. That is what they are good at. It's the way that they give out the money that I have a problem with. They're very, very good at collecting money. And I think that when you've got the best money collectors in the world in an office with not much going on, they've not done much, they're probably in furlough, they've not really got much going on. Someone at the top's made a decision that we should be busy, we should be seen to be doing something. And this is obviously it's backfired spectacularly, because it's almost like they don't realise that most of the people who are putting gigs on is they're putting their own gigs on. And then you've got all the wee small, there's loads of wee cool little local Facebook groups that have popped up. I don't want to say any of their names because I haven't looked into them all individually. But you've all seen those live from lockdown Facebook groups that have popped up everywhere. Loads of them are just chucking it. They're just saying, no, we're not doing it anymore because they're worried about getting into trouble. They don't work in the music business. They're not entrepreneurs. They just showed a bit of entrepreneurial spirit, a bit of community spirit. Let's live stream onto a Facebook group, or let's live stream onto a YouTube channel and connect everyone through music. And then everyone can have a drink and connect and watch the tunes together. These people don't make money, and now they're just shit. They're cancelling it all. They're just cancelling their gigs because they don't want to get into trouble. They don't want to get into trouble from these guys. Okay, what's this? How will this affect Soapy's event? It'll be fine. I think. First of all, Soapy's event. I don't know how it'll affect Soapy's event, to be honest. I would imagine that they've just brought out the news yesterday or today, so if it's true what they're saying, that it's not retroactively, then they should be fine. Also, the benefit Soapy's event's got is that they do have a big sponsor involved, so maybe they can work it out. Also, it's for charity, so PRS are not stupid. It would be a PR disaster if they were to be very unfair with what Soapy's asking for what Soapy's trying to do. If they were to ask for an obscene amount of money, then it would be all over the newspapers because it'd be coming straight out of the charity. So I don't think they'll do that. Or maybe the co-op would just smooth it over and pay it. I don't know. I don't know how. I honestly don't know. So I don't know the answer to that. The money left over gets split between all the members on a pro rata basis. PRS is a non-profit organisation. Basically, it means the huge artists get a larger slice of the pie. And that's interesting. So yeah, so if the money is left over, the big artists get it, which is absolutely nonsense. But it's a not-profit organisation. It seems to make everyone seems to get paid very well for a not-profit organisation. But like I said, I'm just being angry and unreasonable here. With my comments saying I wouldn't rob an artist to play for music for free in the restaurant, but I paid a service to supply an instrumental background who are meant to pay PRS. Yeah. I think that if I'm happy for my music to be used as background in restaurants. You can quote me on that. I don't care. If you want to play my tunes, I don't think there's many restaurants that would like to play my music, but I wouldn't mind. It's £100 to join just now. For local radio, they use sample days, potluck. If it's a bigger radio, they register every song. Yep, that sounds about right. Josephine, aye man, Centric took a fair bit of money from my Skeleton single and tried claiming publishing rights. PRS had to get involved to get my money back, actually. Would be wary of Centric. Yeah, I've heard good things about Centric, but, I asked a person who knows more about the music industry than me about Centric, and she said I would just go with PRS. And when I realised that PRS were getting paid anyway, I was like, well, fuck it, might as well. Also, that would mean filling out more forms and joining another new company. So, nah. I like the idea of the community box. I like that. Community box. Hashtag PRS community box. Big Al, how you doing, pal? My pal has a Facebook music live stream to keep folk of the scene connected to each other. It was never a money-making scheme from this is sad. Well, I mean, technically, if you're just streaming on Facebook, what we have learned today is that if it's just streaming live on Facebook and it's not ticketed, then it'll be unaffected. But because everyone's so angry, there's people just cancelling these gigs because they're scared that they are going to be retroactively charged for it. They could have really dealt with this better. The poor stay poor and the rich get rich. Seems to be the way, innit? It seems to be a way. You love a form, mate. I fucking hate forms, man. Everything about them, right? You see that? Something just terrifying. It gives me the fear, man, straight away. You sit down to fill out the form and it asks you your name and you're like, what the fuck do you need my name for? I don't know why it's unreasonable, but I don't like forms. They're not. It sounds silly to other people, but some people are scared of spiders. I'm not scared of spiders. I'm scared of forms. But I did fill out a form last night. I'm trying my best to get over this because if the music community doesn't learn how to fill out a form, we're all going to starve. All the money goes to all the rich artists and the successful creative entrepreneurs who already know how to fill out forms. So we need to learn to fill out forms. Maybe we'll do a show and we'll get some of my favourite form fillers on the show, and maybe they can inspire us on how to get over this. And also the main issue as well is that it's education. Most working class musicians don't know that these things are even available, that there is funding or grants available. I've never applied for funding before. I filled out a form last night and fingers crossed I get something for it. I should be applying for all sorts. I should be doing it. I'm going to try. There is such a thing as form phobia. There you go. Jeremy Kyle would sound good in a restaurant on a romantic night out. Can you just imagine that? You know, the candlelit dinner and some jackal trades or some gyro baby starts blaring it. Get a formologist. Yeah, great idea. Get a show for industry form filling, etc. Anyway, I also have a fear of forms, like gives me the fear. Exactly. You know, this is another thing. With Bonnie Prince Bob on the show a couple of months ago, and I said, we're talking about something along these lines, and I was like, well, what's the answer? What is the answer? And his idea was for people like Creative Scotland, PRS and stuff like that, is that they should hire somebody to go and find the bands that deserve the money. Go and find them. Find the people that are actually, because there's people that are working really hard and they're getting good numbers, and they just don't know how to fill out a form, or they think, it's a sort of it's a working class chip on your shoulder thing where it's like, I'll never get it. I'll never get it. They'll never give me the money, and that's why I've never had a go at Creative Scotland, for example, because I remember when they had the big stramash with the Glasgow Effect thing happened. I just had a really nice couple of days away down. It was a new year. I was down at the beach, and I had a really good time. So I came back relaxed, and everybody was on Facebook and Twitter raging, so angry. I think everyone had the New Year come down and hangovers. And like today, PRS is the day of rage, where everyone's the 15 minutes of 15 minutes of rage, 15 minutes of hate. Someone always gets it. I've got it before. It happens. Someone is the main thing, and today it's PRS's turn, so I thought I would get involved. But when Creative Scotland were getting it for the Glasgow Effect, I just thought people were being a little bit unreasonable, because it seemed like she was trying to do a thing for the environment. They gave her the money, she filled out the form, and that was when I made the vow that I need to learn how to fill out forms. In fact, I made a song I might play to end us with at that moment, and it made me think that maybe I should just learn to fill out the forms. Don't judge until you fill out the forms, because you think it's a big clique, but I've got no evidence it's a big clique. Maybe if I filled out a form, they would actually support me. Maybe they would like what I'm doing, and maybe they would support me. But there's just this nagging doubt that you're not in the club, you're not in the crowd, so you won't get anything. But I'm trying to go over that, because why shouldn't I get support? Have you seen some of the people that do get support? Fuck's sake. Very good point. If you look at available data in Creative Scotland, Arts Council England, there's a massive amount of data missing about working class artists. It's pretty bad. Yeah, it's not really a thing. And it's because, there's all these brilliant strides being made for female artists, and it's still not good enough. There needs to be more done for female artists. There needs to be more done for people from ethnic backgrounds and stuff. But there seems to be a mobilised campaigns and people trying to do better stuff. Like, I know that Josephine, and I don't know if she was actually involved in it, but I know that there was a big group of people made a fuss over the Spotify playlist and stuff, and it seems to be quite good. There's people mobilising to create change, but there just doesn't seem to be that appetite in the working class areas. It just seems to be that we just don't even know it exists, so we just ignore it. It's not for us. People either just don't have the inclination or the time, or they're just worrying about not starving and just keeping the fucking lights on, and they don't have time to moan about this shit. But the reason I'm moaning about this shit is because this actually this does affect keeping the lights on and starving artists. The industry's on its knees. People are really struggling right now, and the last thing you need is another PRS just taking a cut. And it's like, who are they trying to get? The promoters? What promoters are putting on gigs? What big promoters are actually putting on gigs? There is no gigs. The only live streams I see is very small grassroots stuff, or bands putting on their own gig. I don't know who it's meant for. Hits from the Bong was on it. Pity this wasn't announced yesterday. It'd been interesting to get Davy's opinion on it. I think it was announced yesterday, but I didn't have time to read the news yesterday because I did 4 shows yesterday. Don't worry, PRS, they weren't live streaming shows. They were live streaming podcasts, which I understand I'm still allowed to do without paying you anything. And speaking on that, if it's all right with you, PRS, then I'm going to play tonight, 7 o'clock. We've got Texture in the building, live from Capture Works at 7 o'clock. And tomorrow we have Anna Secret Poet at 7 o'clock. If that's all right with you, pal. If that's all right with you. Is that all right? And if you'd like a wee bit of cash for that, then please look into my constant emails and phone calls and pay me. Pay me for what I'm due, man. Pay me for what I'm due, and then I'll pay you for what you're due. How about that? Or just pay me to fuck off. You know what I mean? Pay me to fuck off. I'm gonna go anyway. Hold on, one last thing. Yeah, Broken Records was set up by Tom Gray. Wants everyone to get help. especially for grassroots venue and arts in the UK. You only make 0.004p a listen, and it doesn't go to the bands you listen to. We need to fix this. We'll do a proper show, but this isn't going to be a 5-minute rant. It's now up to 40 minutes. I'll see you at 7 o'clock tonight for Texture. And also on Saturday, we've got another live stream gig. Don't tell PRS about this. Oh my God. There's poets. What about the poets? Do the poets... No, PRS is for music, not poets. So what if a poet plays a dong, or a little bit of djembe at the start of their bit? Does that make it music? Anyway, this is going to be a belter. Saturday night, it's the Friction Burn Supper. It's 10 years we're celebrating of doing these alternative burn suppers. It's a cracking lineup. Sammy B will be co-hosting. There's a few special guests to be announced as well. That's 7 o'clock. If you want to support, you call that radio, then hit the red button. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. And yeah, this show is not possible without... My life is not possible. In order for me to exist is thanks to patrons. So if you want to support the thing, you can make a donation through PayPal, or you can sign up to the Patreon. It's a couple of pounds a month. And if you sign up, you will automatically go into the Big Mad Raffle on Saturday night during the Burns night as well. And, these are the things that you have to do, to survive. And I'm lucky that I feel very grateful that I've managed to somehow, probably just down to experience of knowing people. If this was like 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do this show. I wouldn't have had the technology. I wouldn't have been able to do it. So this is a really worrying time for artists. Everyone's fucked. And PRS just wants to give you another wee dig on the way down. So yeah, stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, fill out forms. See you at 7 o'clock. No more rage. And remember, just if you're feeling a bit angry, drink water. Repeat, no more rage, no more rage, no more rage. And breathe. And you know what? Just pretend. Just pretend. If we can all just pretend, just for a second, that PRS does not exist. Because it's like banging your head off a fucking brick wall. Good night. See you at 7 o'clock for Texture, and see you on Saturday for Friction Burn Supper, and see you tomorrow for And a Secret Poet. Bye!
You call that radio?
Call that radio.
What about the people who hated on me?
Right, and then I see the disinfectant that knocks it out in a minute.
That's mad, isn't it?
Is this a Netflix thing?
It's actually a podcast.
What the fuck's a podcast?
You know, it's kind of like a radio show.
Oh, that! Radio!
Yeah.
And is there a way we can do something like that?
I couldn't help it.
By injection inside or
Yeah, I think so, because I think just paint in general, because I think like my poem is in my painting.
No, cut.
The cat, what you do?